My friends, today I want to talk to you about a critical topic that can transform your life if you truly take it to heart. It's about those pivotal moments when staying silent is not an option, when you must find the courage to speak up and make your voice heard. There are 7 specific times in life when saying nothing can be one of the biggest mistakes you ever make. And today I'm going to walk you through each one of them. You see, words have immense power. The right words spoken at the right time can change the trajectory of your life and the lives of those around you. They can open doors, build bridges, heal wounds, and ignite sparks of inspiration. But here's the thing: you have to be willing to speak those words when it matters most. You can't let fear, doubt, or complacency hold you back from expressing what needs to be said. I know it's not always easy. Believe me, I've been there. There have been countless times in my own life when I've struggled with whether or not to speak up, times when the stakes were high and the consequences of my words felt daunting. But over the years, I've learned that the price of silence is often far greater than the discomfort of finding my voice. So today I want to empower you with the wisdom and conviction to speak up when it matters most. I want you to leave here knowing exactly when and how to use your voice to create positive change in your life and in the world around you. Because make no mistake, your words have the power to move mountains, but only if you're willing to speak them. Are you ready to dive in? Are you ready to discover the 7 times when you absolutely cannot afford to say nothing? Then let's get started. The first time when you must speak up is when you witness an injustice. It doesn't matter if it's happening to you or someone else. If you see something that goes against your values and your sense of what's right, you have a moral obligation to say something. Too often we convince ourselves that it's not our place to get involved or that someone else will handle it. But the truth is, if you don't speak up, who will? I learned this lesson the hard way when I was younger. I was at a party and I saw a guy getting aggressive with his girlfriend. He was yelling at her, grabbing her arm, and clearly making her uncomfortable. But I didn't do anything. I told myself it wasn't my business, that maybe I was misinterpreting the situation. And so I stayed silent. To this day, I regret not speaking up. I'll never know what happened to that young woman after I left the party. I'll never know if my words could have made a difference. But what I do know is that my silence made me complicit in her suffering. And that's a burden I'll carry with me forever. So please don't make the same mistake I did. When you witness an injustice, no matter how big or small, speak up. Use your voice to stand up for what's right. It might be uncomfortable in the moment, but trust me, the long-term pain of staying silent is far worse. The second time when you cannot afford to say nothing is when someone you care about is struggling. Whether it's a friend, a family member, or even an acquaintance, if you see someone going through a tough time, it's your responsibility to reach out and offer support. I know it can be awkward. We live in a culture that often prioritizes minding our own business over getting involved in other people's lives. But the truth is, we all need support sometimes. We all have moments when we feel alone, overwhelmed, and unsure of how to move forward. And in those moments, a kind word or a listening ear can make all the difference. I remember when my best friend's father passed away unexpectedly. She was devastated, and I could see her struggling to keep it together. But instead of reaching out, I convinced myself that she needed space. I didn't want to intrude on her grief or say the wrong thing. So I stayed silent. Looking back, I realized how misguided that was. My friend needed me more than ever in that moment. She needed to know that she wasn't alone, that someone cared about her pain. And by staying silent, I let her down when she needed me most. So don't make the same mistake I did. When someone you care about is struggling, speak up. Reach out and let them know that you're there for them. Even if you don't have the perfect words, just knowing that you care can make a world of difference. The third time when saying nothing is not an option is when you have an opportunity to express gratitude. Too often we take the good things in our lives for granted. We get so caught up in the day-to-day grind that we forget to pause and appreciate the people and experiences that bring us joy. But here's the thing: gratitude is a powerful force. When we take the time to express our appreciation for others, it not only makes them feel good, but it also shifts our own perspective. It reminds us of all the blessings in our lives and helps us cultivate a sense of abundance and positivity. I learned this lesson from my mother. Growing up, she always made a point of thanking people for even the smallest acts of kindness. Whether it was the grocery store clerk who helped her find an item or the neighbor who shoveled our driveway after a snowstorm, my mother never let an opportunity for gratitude pass her by. At first, I found it a little embarrassing. I thought she was going overboard with all the thank yous. But as I got older, I realized the wisdom in her approach. By expressing gratitude at every opportunity, she was training herself to see the good in life. She was cultivating a mindset of appreciation and positivity that served her well in even the toughest times. So take a page from my mother's book. When someone does something kind for you, no matter how small, speak up and express your gratitude. Let them know how much you appreciate their efforts. Not only will it make their day, but it will also help you develop a more positive and appreciative outlook on life. The fourth time when you cannot afford to stay silent is when you have a chance to offer encouragement. We all have moments when we feel discouraged, when our dreams feel out of reach and our challenges feel insurmountable. And in those moments, a few words of encouragement can be the spark that reignites our passion and keeps us moving forward. I know this from personal experience. When I was first starting out as a motivational speaker, I faced a lot of rejection. I would pour my heart into a speech only to have it fall flat with the audience. I would send out dozens of pitches only to hear crickets in response. There were moments when I wanted to give up, when I questioned whether I had what it took to make it in this industry. But then I met a mentor who changed everything. He was a seasoned speaker who had been in the game for decades. And when I shared my struggles with him, he didn't offer pity or platitudes. Instead, he looked me in the eye and said, "You have a gift. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Keep pushing forward, and one day the world will see what I see in you." Those words stuck with me. They became the fuel that kept me going when things got tough. And eventually they proved to be true. I did have a gift and I did have what it took to succeed. But I might never have discovered that if it weren't for my mentor's encouragement. So when you see someone who is struggling, don't stay silent. Speak up and offer encouragement. Remind them of their strengths and their potential. Give them the same gift that my mentor gave me, the gift of believing in themselves even when the world tells them not to. The fifth time when saying nothing is simply not an option is when you need to set boundaries. We all have limits, physical, emotional, and mental. And when those limits are crossed, it's up to us to speak up and assert our needs. This can be incredibly difficult, especially for those of us who are people pleasers by nature. We don't want to rock the boat or disappoint others. So we stay silent when our boundaries are violated, hoping that the problem will go away on its own. But here's the thing, boundaries are not optional. They are essential for our well-being and our relationships. When we fail to set and enforce them, we open ourselves up to all sorts of hurt and dysfunction. I learned this the hard way in a past relationship. My partner at the time had a habit of making plans for us without consulting me first. He would commit us to social engagements or trips that I had no interest in, assuming that I would just go along with it. At first I did. I didn't want to seem difficult or ungrateful. But over time, my resentment grew. I felt like my needs and preferences were being ignored, like I had no say in my own life, and yet I still stayed silent. It wasn't until the relationship ended that I realized how much damage my silence had done. By not speaking up and setting boundaries, I had taught my partner that it was okay to disregard my needs. I had set a precedent of putting his wants above my own well-being. So please learn from my mistake. When someone crosses your boundaries, speak up. Let them know what you need and what you will not tolerate. It might be uncomfortable in the moment, but it will save you so much pain and frustration in the long run. The sixth time when you must find your voice is when you have the opportunity to share your story. We all have a unique perspective and set of experiences that shape who we are. And when we share those experiences with others, we create connection and understanding. I know it can be scary to open up. We worry that others will judge us or that our stories aren't important enough to share. But the truth is, every story matters. Every voice has the power to change hearts and minds. I remember the first time I shared my own story on stage. It was about a particularly difficult period in my life when I struggled with depression and self-doubt. I was terrified to be so vulnerable in front of an audience. But as I spoke, I could feel the energy in the room shift. People were leaning in, nodding their heads, some even wiping away tears. Afterward, person after person came up to me and shared their own stories of struggle and resilience. They thanked me for being brave enough to speak up, for giving them permission to do the same. And in that moment, I realized the true power of sharing our stories. It's not just about us, it's about creating a space for others to feel seen and heard as well. So when you have the chance to share your story, don't let fear hold you back. Speak up and let your voice be heard. You never know who might need to hear your words, who might find comfort and strength in your experiences. Finally, the seventh time when saying nothing is simply not an option is when you need to ask for help. This one is perhaps the hardest of all. We live in a culture that prizes independence and self-sufficiency. Asking for help can feel like an admission of weakness or failure. But here's the thing, we all need help sometimes. No one is meant to go through life alone. And when we're struggling, the bravest and most profound thing we can do is reach out and ask for the support we need. I know this because I've been there. There have been times in my life when I felt completely overwhelmed, when I've been faced with challenges that felt insurmountable on my own. And in those moments, the hardest thing for me to do was to pick up the phone and ask for help. But every time I did, I was met with an outpouring of love and support. Friends and family members stepped up to offer guidance, resources, and simply a listening ear. And with their help, I was able to weather even the toughest storms. So if you're struggling right now, please don't stay silent. Reach out and ask for the help you need. Whether it's from a trusted friend, a family member, or a professional, there are people who want to support you. You don't have to go through this alone. And that, my friends, is the power of speaking up. In each of these 7 situations, finding your voice can be the key to unlocking growth, connection, and healing. It can be the catalyst that transforms your life and the lives of those around you. But it's not always easy. Speaking up takes courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. It means risking rejection, confrontation, and sometimes even backlash. But here's what I want you to remember: your voice matters. Your experiences, your perspectives, your stories, they all have value. And when you speak up, you're not just standing up for yourself. You're also standing up for others who may not have found their own voice yet. So today I challenge you to start speaking up when it matters most. Start small if you need to. Practice asserting yourself in low-stakes situations. Build your confidence and your skills over time. And remember, you're not alone in this. There is a community of people out there who want to support you, who want to see you thrive. Lean on them when you need to. Let their encouragement and wisdom guide you forward. Because at the end of the day, the world needs your voice. It needs your unique perspective and your hard-won wisdom. It needs you to speak up when you witness injustice, when you see someone struggling, when you have the chance to express gratitude or offer encouragement. So don't let fear hold you back. Don't let doubt or insecurity silence you. Find your voice and use it to create the change you want to see in the world. It won't always be easy. There will be moments when speaking up feels like the hardest thing in the world. But I promise you this: on the other side of that discomfort is a life of purpose, connection, and profound impact. You have the power to shape your reality with your words. You have the ability to create ripples of positive change that extend far beyond yourself. All you have to do is speak up. So, my friends, my challenge to you today is this: start using your voice. Start speaking up when it matters most. Start taking risks and embracing vulnerability in the pursuit of a life well lived. Because the world is waiting for you. It's waiting for your story, your wisdom, your unique perspective. And it's up to you to decide whether you'll meet that call with silence or with the power of your voice. I know which one I choose. And I hope you'll join me on this journey of speaking up, of standing tall, of living a life of purpose and impact. Because when you speak up, when you share your truth with the world, you tap into a power greater than yourself. You become part of a collective voice that has the ability to shift paradigms, to shatter barriers, to create change on a massive scale. And that, my friends, is the legacy I want to leave. It's the legacy I want you to be a part of creating. A legacy of voices rising up, of stories being told, of lives being transformed by the power of words. So let me ask you this: what will your legacy be? Will you look back on your life and wish you had spoken up more, that you had been braver in the face of fear and doubt? Or will you look back and know that you used your voice to make a difference, that you left the world a little better than you found it? The choice is yours. But I can tell you from experience that there is no greater feeling than knowing you've made an impact, that your words have touched someone's heart or changed someone's life for the better. I remember the first time I received a letter from someone who had heard me speak. It was a young woman who had been struggling with depression and self-doubt for years. She told me that my words had given her the courage to seek help, to start speaking up about her struggles and her dreams. She said that because of me, she had found her voice. And that voice had saved her life. I wept when I read that letter. I wept because I knew the pain she had been through, and I wept because I was so grateful to have played a small part in her journey. That, my friends, is the power of speaking up. It's the power to save lives, to change hearts, to create ripples of hope and healing that extend far beyond ourselves. And it's a power that lies within each and every one of you. You don't have to be a motivational speaker or a public figure to make a difference. You just have to be willing to use your voice, to speak your truth, to stand up for what you believe in. So start today. Start small if you need to, but start speaking up in the moments when it matters most. Start telling your story, sharing your wisdom, offering your encouragement and support. And trust that your words have the power to change the world. Trust that your voice matters, that it has a purpose and a place in the grand tapestry of human experience. Because it does. You matter. Your story matters. Your voice matters. And when you speak up, when you let that voice be heard, you become part of something greater than yourself. You become part of a movement of change makers, of trailblazers, of voices rising up to create a better world. So rise up, my friends. Rise up and speak out. Rise up and let your voice be heard. Because the world needs you. It needs your courage, your compassion, your unique perspective. It needs you to be the change you wish to see. And it all starts with a single voice. It all starts with you. So let me leave you with this final thought, this final challenge. Today, I want you to think of one situation in your life where you've been staying silent, where you've been holding back your truth out of fear or doubt. And I want you to commit, right here and now, to speaking up in that situation. I want you to commit to using your voice, to taking that first step towards a life of greater courage and impact. It won't be easy, it might be scary as hell, but I promise you this, on the other side of that fear lies a freedom and a power you can't even imagine. On the other side of that fear lies the life you were meant to live, the legacy you were meant to leave. So take that step, speak up, stand tall, and know that you are never, ever alone. You are part of a community of change makers, of trailblazers, of voices rising up to create a better world. And together we are unstoppable. Together our voices have the power to move mountains, to part seas, to change the course of history. So let's get started, shall we? Let's start speaking up, standing tall, and living lives of purpose and impact. Let's start creating the world we wish to see. One voice at a time, one story at a time, one act of courage at a time. The journey won't be easy. There will be setbacks and challenges along the way. But I promise you this, it will be worth it. Every time you speak up, every time you use your voice for good, you are planting seeds of change that will grow and flourish long after you're gone. You are building a legacy of courage, compassion, and impact that will inspire generations to come. And that, my friends, is a legacy worth fighting for. So fight on. Speak on. Stand tall and let your voice be heard. Because your words have the power to change lives, to heal hearts, to create a world of greater understanding and connection. Your words have the power to create the future you wish to see. So use them wisely, use them boldly, use them with love and with purpose. And trust that every time you speak up, every time you share your truth, you are making a difference. You are being the change. You are leading the way. And you are never, ever alone. We are in this together, my friends. We are a community of voices rising up, of hearts beating as one, of souls united in the pursuit of a better world. And together we will not be silenced. Together we will not be stopped. Together we will rise. So let's rise, shall we? Let's speak up. Stand tall. And create the world we know is possible. One voice at a time. One story at a time. One act of courage at a time. The journey begins now. And I can't wait to see where it takes us. And as we begin this journey together, I want to remind you of one more thing. The power of your voice doesn't end when you leave this room. It doesn't end when the spotlight fades or the audience goes home. The power of your voice lives on in the hearts and minds of every person you touch, every life you change, every ripple of impact you create. It lives on in the stories you tell, the wisdom you share, the love and compassion you bring to the world. So don't let that power go to waste. Don't let it lie dormant within you, waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect audience. Start using it now. Start speaking up in your relationships, your communities, your workplaces. Start being the voice of change, the voice of hope, the voice of courage and conviction. Because the world needs that voice. It needs your unique perspective, your hard-won insights, your unshakable belief in a better tomorrow. It needs you to be the lighthouse in the storm, the beacon of hope in the darkness. And when you speak up, when you let your voice be heard, you become that lighthouse, you become that beacon. You become the change you wish to see in the world. And that change starts rippling out from you in ways you can't even imagine. It starts touching lives and transforming hearts, creating a chain reaction of positivity and purpose. So keep speaking up, keep shining your light, keep being the voice of change. And know that every time you do, you are making a difference. You are leaving a legacy of impact and inspiration. You are being the leader you were born to be. And that, my friends, is a journey worth taking. It's a journey of growth and discovery, of challenges and triumphs, of moments that will test you and moments that will define you. But it's a journey you were made for. It's a journey you have been preparing for all your life. And it's a journey that will lead you to the life you've always dreamed of, the life of purpose and passion and unshakable fulfillment. So embrace that journey, embrace the power of your voice, and trust that every step you take, every word you speak, is leading you closer to the person you were meant to become. The leader, the change maker, the voice of hope in a world that so desperately needs it. And as you take those steps, as you speak those words, know that you are never alone. Know that there is a community of voices rising up beside you, a movement of change makers and trailblazers who share your vision and your passion. Know that there are people cheering you on, people who believe in you, people who are waiting for you to step into your power and your purpose. So step into it, speak into it, live into it, and watch as the world begins to change around you. Watch as your voice becomes the catalyst for transformation, the spark that ignites a fire of positive change. Watch as your legacy begins to take shape, as your impact begins to ripple out in ways you never could have imagined. And know that it all started with a single decision, a single moment of courage and conviction. It all started with you, with your voice, with your choice to speak up and stand tall. So make that choice. Make it today. Make it every day. And trust that it will lead you to a life beyond your wildest dreams, a life of purpose and passion, a life of impact and inspiration, a life that will leave a legacy of change and hope for generations to come. That is the power of your voice. That is the power of speaking up. And that is the power that lies within you, waiting to be unleashed upon the world. So unleash it, my friends. Unleash it with all your heart and all your soul. And watch as the world begins to change. Watch as your life begins to change. Watch as you become the leader you were always meant to be. The journey begins now. And I can't wait to see where it takes you. Thank you.